Good afternoon and welcome to the 2021 Economic Depression and Preparation Channel. I'm your host, Tony. Thank you so much for joining me on this Friday, June 18th, 2021, on this cusp of the new federal holiday, Juneteenth, celebrating the end of slavery declared by Lincoln back in 1866 on this day of June 18th. To all my friends and listeners, thank you for your support. It's much appreciated. Please be sure to continue to subscribe and tell your friends and neighbors to get the pure 100 unadulterated truth for financial news here in America and beyond. Today, the Dow Jones plummet more than 500 points as volatility returns to the stock market. As you know, they've been pumping up these stocks for the last couple of months here, and now there is news on the horizon that the Federal Reserve Bank is thinking about tapering, and that means the start of raising these interest rates from zero. But they can't do that and at the same time be buying $120 billion of stock purchases every month, which they said they will continue to do through 2022, the end of this year into 2022. So there's a lot going on. The Dow fell more than 530 points Friday, a drop of around 1.6%. Broad-based sell-off. 30 Dow stocks finishing in the red. Intel, Goldman Sachs, Walgreens were among the biggest decliners. The Dow is now on a 5-day losing streak, falling nearly 3.5% just this week alone. That's the worst weekly pullback since January, my friends. S&P 500 and NASDAQ were notably lower as well. And that's interesting because normally the NASDAQ is going up and everything else is going down and vice versa. Wall Street is worried about inflation as well as they should be. But the investors are also nervous about the Fed taking away the stimulus it injected in the market at the height of the pandemic. So a lot of people are worried about that. And a lot of the red raiders in the market trying to fight it with AMC, GameStop, and other cryptocurrencies that we're trying to fight this. They're trying to fight this market pressures. They're doing well, but things are starting to get dicey. And the reason why is because the Federal Reserve knows that they have to raise rates sooner than expected. They say in 2023, but in everybody else's heads, 2022, next year, they're going to have to raise rates because inflation is going to be higher than expected, as I've said in earlier videos. And on top of that, jobless claims are going to be higher than expected. Jobless claims show surprise increase, the highest level in a month. Folks, look, we had 412,000 people file for initial jobless claims, up from 37,000 the previous week. All the increase came from Pennsylvania and California. And incidentally, as you know, California's had an mass exodus of people leave that state because of the high cost of living, high taxes, high crime, and city services and retirement pensions going broke pretty soon in the next, like Social Security, in the next 10 years or so. So all of that has led to this manufacturing report also with inflation indexes at its highest level in 40 years. Listen, this thing is not going to get any better. Thank God for all of the institutions that are helping out many of our poor and middle class families, and many of our low income, the poor families. Thank God for them to help them out, such as feeding the hungry. They've been giving out meals to students in schools. Now that school is essentially out after this week or next week for most of the school districts across the country, they've been providing meals. Thank God for chefs like Jose Andreas in DC that's been providing meals for those working on the front lines in the pandemic, and also just meals in general. Food, water, clothes, shelter, all of that is essentially needed, and we thank God for that. I thank God for the support. I didn't mean to say last week in the last video about the wastefulness, that this money spent on salmon and different things is wasteful. It's not wasteful. I meant to say that the federal government and politicians spend money on some things that are wasteful. Like they spend money, they get extra money for themselves and not help out their states or the community. That's what I meant. So I just want to clarify that from last week. But anyway, unemployment claims will continue to increase through this summer, folks. Look at this graph here. At the height of the pandemic, we were up here close to 6 million claims. Now we're down to 412K claims. That's still almost 500,000 people filing for unemployment initially every week. And today, they mark commemoration of 500 million vaccines given to people. That's great news for those who have taken the vaccine and stuff. But now we have this Delta variant. And here we go again, folks. I told you they're going to close the economy down again. And this is all about control. This is not about the virus anymore. This is not about the economy. This is about control because the people who run Wall Street and the government know that this economy is set to crash very soon in the near future. And once it crashes, once these three things crash, this is the trifecta that we're waiting on to crash. This is coming very, very soon. The housing market, the credit market, okay, both commercial and personal credit market, and then thirdly, the waiting on the interest rates. Once the interest rates and the global markets. They're waiting on the dollar. Once the global markets remove themselves from the U.S. dollar, which Russia already said is moving themselves away from the dollar. Once that happens, ladies and gentlemen, this thing is over, okay? The U.S. dollar, the economy is over. Now, the great news is we have not plenty of time, but we have time to prepare. And some of you have been doing that. I've been doing that. But like I said, I have been preparing for, years, but it still takes time to get all these resources, especially if you're in an urban environment or if you're in a suburban environment. If you're not in a rural environment where you already own land or have, water and those supplies, it makes it extremely hard to prepare to the best of your ability. Now, and MarketWatch.com is reporting that Fed's Bullard says he expects first rate hike late next year. They're going to have to do it sooner than that, and that's just going to tear up this economy even more. They know what they're doing. This is intentional, okay? Because they got people to buy all these houses doing the zero interest rates, which is fine. I mean, it's a great asset to have. Sometimes a house is a liability because of all the maintenance costs and property taxes, etc. But they got the people to buy all these houses and buy into this bubble. Now that the bubble is going to be crashing soon in the next year or two, people are starting to figure out that, we may be in a big problem of trouble. They're still buying $80 billion of treasuries, the Federal Reserve Bank, and $40 billion of mortgage-backed securities. Like I told you earlier, that makes for a total of that's $120 billion, I believe. So they're gonna have to keep doing that, and that's what's gonna hurt the economy even more because of this. Because inflation, like I said, by the end of this year, real inflation, is gonna be at like 11%, 11% at a minimum. And it's not just about the gas prices or the food prices. It's about everything in this economy. Now, you're looking at a chart right now of I think inflation is going to be an issue, guys, but it's going to be long term. Yes, maybe a year or two, but it's not going to be beyond that, because every depression that we've had has been deflationary in nature. And this is what's going to happen with this thing. We're going to have a big run up with prices and everything and commodities, and then all of a sudden it's just gonna pop, and all the prices are gonna be down, but there's gonna be no money, no liquidity in the system, no cash. Nobody's gonna have cash, and those who do have cash, they're not gonna be able to spend it anywhere because everything is already gonna be closed. Most of the stores and everything's gonna be closed or shut down. So you may have just your Amazon, Target, Walmart open to spend money, if you even want to spend money, because like I said, most long-term consumable things like washing machines, electronics, computers, phones, all that's going to be saturated already in the global market, and so they don't need it no more. So look at the Treasury note. It's going down. Now, think about it. If we've had hyperinflation, the 10-year note should be spiking. This should be at 2%, 3% now. Why is it going down to less than 1.4%? It's going down. It's continuing to go down. So we're in this kind of la-la land, a fairyland of economy. And so, guys, what this is going to mean is long term, this is going to be a deflationary event, but you're going to have to go through a little bit of pain, as we've seen with some of the different spikes and stuff, the black swan events that we've had with the pipeline and the other things. But this is the key right here. Bond yields are still decreasing everywhere. 30-year, 10-year, 2-year, 5-year, all of those are decreasing. That means that this is going to be a deflationary event. Once this bubble pops, all of these assets are going to go majorly down in the U.S. in prices, but so is everything else. The cost, our standard of living is going to go down too. So it's going to be a really conundrum here. This is a real conundrum. Now, what we need to do to be self-sufficient and to be able to survive this thing that's coming, well, we have to buy physical, tangible assets, and these are some of the assets here. I'm going to paraphrase this and kind of modify this for our audience here. But land is an asset that you would need. Any kind of land, half an acre, quarter acre, acre or more. Bill Gates is the largest private owner of farmland in America right now, because he knows what's coming. We know what's coming. So if you have land, or if you can get land somewhere in an area that you can protect it and that it's safe and that has a drinking water source on it, as someone mentioned on my video the other day, great point, that has land with a drinking water source, either a lake, a pond, a stream, a spring, a river, a creek, excellent. Try to purchase that and pay for it over time, or purchase it as a family piece of land. Y'all all put together, for a loan, or buy it outright cash and just keep it in your family. Collectibles. Sometimes, things like collectibles, precious metals, sometimes they can be good. Gold and silver are good to keep too, even though they should have spiked a long time ago. We know it's manipulated. The paper market, the physical market, there's a separation. But if you can, get some silver, collect it. Get some gold, collect it, because it could come in handy for barterability, even if the economy crashes completely, just like crypto. So I would add cryptos in there, even though I know that it's kind of like not outside of the system, but at least, you can do barterability with that too, as long as the power stays on. We have a grid out, then all bets are off for crypto. So gold and silver is good to have. Wine, I'm not too sure about that. But that's what they say on this list here. That I would that's debatable. Oil. I guess the oil of our generation would be something like well, what do you think is the oil of our generation? Because oil is something that's a commodity that you can't really, I guess you can get the paper stocks, but if that's going to be crashing soon. So I guess the oil of our generation, I guess, would be lumped into like a crypto, or maybe water. Water would be something that you can barter with and store if you have potable, drinkable water, stuff like that. So, let me know what you think in the comments. The best physical, tangible assets to buy, because that's the only thing that's going to be left standing. None of the paper investments are going to be left standing when all the smoke clears, because it's over leveraged and we're in too much debt around the world to make all this paper work, all these paper IOU promises work. It's just mathematically impossible. So, ladies and gentlemen, continue to prepare. Enjoy your weekend. Happy Father's Day. I want to say to all of the fathers out there, and also the fathers to be, thank you for your sacrifice, your love, your service. Happy Father's Day to my father as well, and to everybody who's out there doing the best that they can to survive in this new American economy. God bless you. I will talk to you guys very soon. Have a great weekend, and make sure to get some rest at some point during this week if you can. Thank you.